What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today. And today, the Washington Wizards have traded for McCollum, 2015-16 Most Improved Player, who's averaged 20 points per game. And in his last, I think it'd be better. Honestly, I think it'd be better to go over a season that McCollum doesn't have 20 points per game in a season, because McCollum has played 12 seasons and only has 2 seasons where he doesn't average 20 points per game. Those were his first 2. Since then, McCollum has not had a season where he doesn't average 20 points per game. You look at his first 2 seasons, he didn't play that much. 12 minutes per game in his rookie year, 15 in his sophomore season. But ever since then, he's been a bucket, whether it was in Portland or New Orleans. 20.8 points per game in that 2015-16 season that got him the Most Improved Player. And ever since then, he has just been amazing for Portland or New Orleans. But, got traded to New Orleans in the 2021-22 season, was involved in a big deal there, averaged 24 points per game for New Orleans after the trade. In 26 games in the 2022-23 season, averages 21 points per game with 6 assists per game, 20 points per game in the 2023-24 season, and 21 points per game in this season, averaged 21 points per game. So, and is a great 3-point shooter, one of the best in the league. 39.7% in his career, 37% this year, 43% on 8 attempts a game in the 2023-24 season. In his career, you can look up totals in his career from 3, as it's very a very high number for McCollum in his career. As from 3-point totals, it is almost 2,000. This next season, he'll need 11 3-pointers, which I'm sure he can probably get in the first 2 or 3 games. He needs 11 3-pointers to hit 2,000 threes in his career. So, has been one of the best 3-point shooters in the league for a couple years. Had 2 of his 3 seasons in New Orleans, 2 of his 3 full seasons in New Orleans, has gone well over 200 threes. This year was at 171, but played 56 games. So this year he played 10 less games than he did last year. Would have definitely hit 200 if he would have been more healthy. And so I think this is a solid trade for Washington. I think the one thing I want to go over for Washington is, I think Washington is kind of doing what the Rockets and Pistons did. They've added in a bunch of mix of veterans. They get Kelly Olynyk and McCollum in this trade, and they're also getting a future second-round pick in this deal. Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey, who never played a game for them, having an ACL injury, and the 40th overall pick are going to New Orleans. But we saw them trade for Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart at the trade deadline last year, and they added in these 2 veterans. And it didn't make sense at the time, but I think this trade, it makes it make more sense. They're adding in a mix of veterans with a mix of young guys. And for 2 different teams in the last 2 seasons, that has worked out. You look at the Houston Rockets in the 2022-23 season, they were this young team that absolutely, I'm sorry, as a Rockets fan, I'm going to say it, they sucked. They had young promise, but there was no direction. And after that 2022-23 season, in the offseason, the Rockets, who had a great salary cap, make a bunch of additions to add in veterans with their young guys. They signed Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks, 2 veterans. They signed Jeff Green, who was a great veteran experience for these young guys in Houston. Jock Lando comes in. Aaron Holiday comes in. And you just add in a bunch of experienced guys. You add in Ime Udoka as a head coach. And the experience makes the Rockets' win improvement go from 22 to 41. And then this season, in the second season of the young guys with the veterans, is 50-plus wins. Then you look at the Detroit Pistons. They were the worst team in basketball in the 2023-24 season. They didn't even have 20 wins. But they added in a bunch of veterans this offseason. They signed Tobias Harris. They signed Malik Beasley. They trade for Tim Hardaway Jr. During the trade deadline, bring in Dennis Schroeder. They bring in J.B. Bickerstaff. Made in a bunch of additions to pair veterans with young guys. And what does it take them to? They triple their win total, and they go to the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, whatever it was. So this experiment that 2 teams have done in the last couple of years, where you create a bunch of you put a bunch of veterans, good veterans, next to a bunch of young guys, and it's worked well for 2 different teams who have jumped in the last couple. Both these teams, the Rockets and Pistons, have taken big jumps The Rockets' win total from the 2022-23 season to this season has gone from 22 to this year being like, I think the Rockets were like 55, 54 wins, whatever it was this year. The Pistons tripled their win total this year and never been done before. So, I think that does this work for the Wizards? I don't know if their young core is as good as the Rockets or Pistons was. The Rockets had a great young core, still do. The Pistons have a great young core. The Wizards, I think, as well, have a good young core. They've got Koulibaly. They have Alex Sarr. They have Bub Carrington. They're going to draft someone in the top 10 tomorrow as well, in the top 5, top 6, whatever it is. And so, their young guys will just keep getting better. And then you've got all these veterans next to them. It should make them an improved team, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts on the trade for the Pelicans and Wizards in the comment section, and peace out.